Wait, let's touch base on this. Let's touch on this comment that Caleb just put in. I need to, thank you for this. I need to clip gain more and stop being lazy with compressors. I don't think that the job of an engineer has any place overall for laziness. Engineers work hard. They trial and error. They're not show up and they're not the last to show up and the first to leave. It's always the opposite. So I think that language just needs to go away from every aspect of this. We do what needs to be done until the song is complete. Our job is to complete the song or start the song, depending. Yeah. And to be lazy with a compressor, I'm glad it was listed as that in the comment, because it makes no sense. Like, why would something do everything? And I think that tools were limited in certain decades. So you had to rely on, you had one console EQ sometimes, you had to with 3 or 5 bands, and that was it. Now we can have 30 bands of EQ, getting rid of these weird harmonics that shouldn't be in the sound. That's how we get things to be so modern and loud these days, is you can do a lot of surgical reductive EQs, so you can get things to be louder without these harsh things hurting you. It's like what made the sound of pop, this more clean approach and the right amount of filth and that balance, because we have more tools and we have endless possibilities of cleanliness and choosing that balance. And so it's the opposite of lazy. Things take time. Sometimes, like I've said this before, sometimes I do mix a song in 45 minutes. It only happens when it's recorded so well. When that happens, it's delivered so well, and I get to just take it over the edge, that extra 5%. That's rare. So when I say it happens, yes, of course it happens. It's just so rare. Most of the time it's tedious moves, and I have an assistant that I pay to do it so I can go in and do the creative moves. But someone's got to do it. So if you don't have an assistant to do it, you have to do it. And it has to be done. There is no lazy version of this. And like you said earlier, this is long cuts. There are no shortcuts for this stuff.
Yeah, and I think it's also, as a little caveat, of course there are times when you need to move quickly, especially if you're in the studio with someone, you're recording something, you want flow to be good. But by and large, we're talking about mixing, right? So you want to be able to use all the tools at your disposal. And we're getting to a place where everybody's got the same tools. So everybody has RVox, everybody has CLA vocals, and those are fine for some people in some situations. But if you're an engineer, why would you not spend all the time? And not to talk about
what we're supposed to spend our time on.
Not that we need to talk about this as a competitive thing, but isn't that what your expertise is? It's not hard to just spend the time. It's hard to get the years of experience, but that takes time. But it takes time. It takes years, but you have to put in the time to do it. The reason that John and I can have these conversations is because we're insane people who have spent hours and hours and hours and hours for years and years and years trying a lot of this stuff and still trying it. And still, John just told me a new option 6 on Pro Tools. I'm going to start doing that. I didn't know that was a thing. Where I can do EQ on a particular clip. Like these sorts of things, I'm always looking for new things. And yes, when you're in the studio, you want to be able to move quickly. But like we talked about last week a little bit, if your default is to just throw RVox on there or CLA vocals, there may be a way, and I would encourage, I just don't want to shit on people who make plugins, but make your own chain. Make your own chain with an EQ and a compressor and a saturator.
That's what I said last week. Import it.
As I was saying, just import it. Every program can do that. You have your vocal chain that's your own version, that's a better, more customizable, more tweakable, more adaptable for a particular vocalist that has a few different plugins that make up that same sound you're after, and just use that as your vocal template. There's no reason to use these preset things if you don't have to. And if you're, those of you that are watching that are engineers, producers, whatever, you can do it.
Those multi-functional plugins were designed by people that made these chains.
Yes.
So you can use their fake version of their chain. So make your own chain that makes people happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why do you got to use Chris Lord-Alge's chain? Let
plugin
Chris
chain.
use his chain. That's what I mean. It's not even
preset plugin. Yeah.
Like watching Tony mix and just having a jolly good time, being like, "Hey, let's throw the Maserati piano plugin on this snare drum." He never put the plugin that it's called on the thing that it was for, right? Like the chains are cool. Like actually that harmonics one for piano was super cool plugin. I don't have it, but we used it and it's got this cool detuning delay on it. Like put that on a guitar. I bet that sounds sick. Maserati vocal plugin on vocals. That's not what Tony's vocal sounds like. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like I know what Tony's vocal sounds like.
Shout out Tony.
Yeah. Mad shout out to one of the best.
One of the goats.
You just make your own chains. It's fun. We're going to be, okay, if we're going to be an engineer and not a producer, and you're going to, if you're going to do what I've done too, which is decide I'm a mix engineer and soon to be a recording engineer again as well. I'm not a producer. Well, what is my creative, input to this process? It's going to be chains. It's going to be the way I make things feel after the fact or in the beginning. Like, why can't we take claim and a bit more control over that part of the process?
And do that if you're a producer too. Everybody should be doing this. There's no reason. Yeah. There's no like if you have a plugin that you use that's an all-in-one, make your own version of it. Experiment with it, and all of a sudden, then you've got your sound and your thing, and you know more about it, and you've become better at your job. Like there's no. It's just putting in the time. You just no shortcuts, long cuts.
Yeah.